Hey there. I love it. Oh, it won't do it. Hey there. Hey girl, hey. Thanks for tuning in and you're hanging out with your friends. Oh, I'm gonna get started in just a second. Just a second. Hey girl, hey. Naja Smith. Get started in a couple seconds. Give me a few minutes for a couple of people to come in. Thank you guys for joining me every week. Hey there, hey. Hey, Mom. Hello. Like Miss Rachel says on Carter Shows. All right, we're going to get started. It is 7:02. Welcome to Queen Status Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Share this with your friends if you know someone who needs to talk about determining their why. That's what we're going to talk about tonight, determining your why and why you do the things, or we do the things that we do, and how knowing your why can help you determine. Hey, Daria, can help you determine. Hey, Denitra, we're talking about determining your why and how determining your why can help you be more successful going forward in life. When we do things with the end goal in mind, we prosper. Hey, girl, hey. I can't make my things work, y'all. Oh, there it go. Thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, share. Go on YouTube at my page, Nichelle the Boss, and subscribe so that we can go live. Hey, Shauna. So that we can go live on YouTube as well. We'll soon be going live on TikTok. Before we get started, my website, Nichelle the Boss. No, it's not Nichelle the Boss. It is NichelleSmith.com. So July 1st, the website should be completely up and running. There are coaching classes that you can take, and we'll also have our own community. So we'll have like our own Facebook within my website that we can bounce ideas off of each other and talk about certain topics where we're all in there together. I will still be on Facebook. I'll still be on YouTube. I'll still be on TikTok, but we'll also be able to communicate there in the website. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Please share this with someone that you know so that we can grow. How about that? I just made that up. Bars. So tonight we're going to talk about determining our why. We always want to start with the end goal in mind. The end goal, we need to understand ourselves. So the first part of this is, yes, Daria, bars. Determining your why. So why do you need to understand yourself? You need to understand self before you can understand anybody else. A lot of the problems that we have nowadays, a lot of the reasons that we can't solve conflict is because we don't understand ourselves. We're going through things that we don't understand about us. And so if we don't understand us, we can't help our children. We can't help our families. We can't help anybody if we don't understand us. And so first, determining your why, meaning you start with the end goal in mind. And so first, I would have to say, for me, I've learned that I need to stop saying so much. I think it's kind of sort of part of my stuttering. But anyway, what I have learned about self is I have to do self-reflection. That is the only way that I can rate myself as to how I move about and how. Thank you for sharing, Denitra. And how I move about on a daily basis. Sometimes we have to understand that God made us a certain way, but I also don't like to be the person that says, well, that's just how I am. Well, no, it's not just how you are, and we can learn to be different and we can learn to be better. So the first part of this, like I said, I would say my why would be I have learned to have a relationship where God is concerned. And so my why, thank you for sharing with 18,942 people, Daria. You are my biggest fan. Self-reflection, I got thrown off, sorry. Self-reflection and doing things because it's what God has told us to do. I have learned that in my life and building a better relationship with God daily, my life runs a lot smoother. I don't spend a lot of time doing things that I'm not supposed to be doing, or turning down a cul-de-sac where I can't get anywhere. I want to go straight. I want to go straight ahead. And so with that, I have to consult with God first on the things that I am called to do. One thing I tell people when I get involved in anything, I try my best to know a little bit about everything. That doesn't mean I know everything. It means that I try to learn a little bit about all situations, but at the same time, I don't know everything. And what people can learn about me is if I don't know about it, I will be quiet. You won't hear anything out of me if I don't know anything about the situation. And so we can start there. There's a saying that people have said for years. It says, if you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. And so that is so true. If you don't spend your time trying to figure out what is my why for the things that I do. And so tonight we're going to talk about a lot of whys in a lot of areas. Why are we the way that we are? What makes us be the way we are? What makes us think? What makes us do the things that we are called to do? So why do we act the way that we act? And a lot of it, hey Jennifer, hey mom, hey Faye, a lot of times it can be generational. We never think about our bloodline, the way that we've been brought up. And once I sat down and I thought about my bloodline, as much as I love my grandmother, as much as I love my mother, we're not always right. There are some things they taught us to the best of their ability, but there are some things that we have learned in our bloodline that we definitely need to hurry up and unlearn. It's not even biblical. Everything that you do, you need to put it up against the word of God, and it needs to be biblical. And sometimes we miss it, and that's okay. The Bible says that to restore your brother when he offends you or when they get out of the will of God or whatever. And so we need to understand and learn that we have to have as much grace for people as we want for ourselves. And I know for me, I have to remind myself of that daily. I come from two very strong, very opinionated women, and sometimes that can get in my way. But you never want to kill your witness. You kill your witness by speaking all the time. You can think it, and that's something else that you have to pray about. You have to pray about your thoughts, because out of the heart flows the issues of life. And so if that heart ain't right, you don't have to say a word, but people will be able to see that something's going on in here. And so with that, we start with why. Why do we do the things that we do? Why do we act the way that we act? Why do we think? Why do we respond the way that we respond? And so in order to conquer that, you have to do a self-reflection. And that self-reflection, I found for me, it might be different for other people, but it has to be daily for me. There are plenty of things that I think in my mind that I have to go back and say, hey, God, I'm sorry. I know that is not of you. Help me to deal with that situation. Give me another chance to go back and fix it and make it right. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. But that is what Grace and New Mercy is for every morning. But I do believe with everything in me that if that is on our mind on a daily basis and we try daily, God gives us grace and new mercy every day. They're new every day. And so if you try tomorrow to do better, I believe that God blesses that. And so some people do very well with journaling, writing down your regular thoughts, and keeping a journal of your feelings and your experiences and things like that, that help you go back and say, hey, you know, this is how I'm feeling, or this is how I was feeling the other day. My daughter says, environment impacts that a lot too. Who do you surround yourself with? What do you listen to? Exactly. You really have to understand what your why is. Why do I have the circle that I have, the circle of people? And does it serve me? Does it speak to me being a better person? If you're dealing with people who are always talking about somebody, best believe when you get up, they're talking about you as well. You might drop a gem and say, hey, let's take this conversation another direction. And if that person continues to do that, you might have to reevaluate the relationship that you have with that person in order for you to be a better person. I mean, because like the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. And if you're in a place where there's no iron, you cannot be sharpened. And understand, if you're always the smartest book in the room, you probably need to change your circle. I don't want to be the smartest book in the room. I want somebody to be able to show me something that I don't know anything about so that I can continue to be great on a daily basis. Another area in determining your why, when you get your circle established and you know that you have a solid circle of good, wise counsel, you don't want yes men. That's not a circle. You don't want people who always agree with everything you say. They scare me. I don't want to be around somebody who never says, well, that might not be right, or look at it from this point of view, or, you know, you don't always have to bash people. But at the same time, if you love people, you don't let people just go willy-nilly, as I call it. You don't let people just do the fool and just act and say whatever and say, oh, well, that's just how she is. Well, let's help her to grow so that she can help you to grow. And so journaling is one thing that might help you. Hey, Shakiria, you know, write down some things where you can go back and look at how you've grown and how you've changed and how you actually done it. This is a ministry. Life is a ministry on a daily. And I'm sure we all have kids, daughters and sons that we can, you know, go back and say, hey, you know, I had that same situation when I was your age and this is what I done. Hey, Pastor, I journaled and I used this scripture and God really dealt with me in using that scripture. Darius says, we sometimes look for void we have in ourselves, even unknown in others, which can determine our circle choices. Correct. Sometimes we trauma bond. Most people trauma bond. And when you know better, you do better. Let's not trauma bond. Let's bond with someone who has conquered that. Let's bond with someone who can give us good, wise, godly counsel. You know, we don't, like I said, we don't want yes men. I don't want yes men because that I know I'm not growing. When somebody's always saying, girl, you right, knowing good and well that I was doing the fool. Don't let me do the fool. And then we don't want to kill our witness. You know, that's the first way to kill your witness. And that comes when we talk about feedback from others. Don't be ashamed. Don't be scared to ask the people who are close to you, hey, you know, what do you think about this situation? You know, I had this situation go on. Do you think I handled it right? Blah, 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 blah. There's nothing wrong with that, especially when you know that that person is Christ-like. Especially when you know that that person is on the same journey trying to be the best that they can possibly be. There's nothing wrong with asking that person that. And it's also nothing wrong. There's been situations that have gone on for me that have really tested who I was when I knew that I was not wrong. But you have to go back and apologize in order, you know, to bring that person back in, to continue relationship, because relationship is everything. If you don't have relationship, you don't have anything. And so very seldom can we speak in people's lives if we don't have relationships. So you want to make sure that you're determining why that you're doing everything that you're doing. And so when we go back and we talk about, doing things for God first, that comes from having a great relationship, getting up, talking to him first, asking him questions, and then effectively listening to what it is that God is saying. If God is always agreeing with you, I would have to say it's plenty of times God will tell me, girl, sit down, stop. That's not what I said. You heard what you wanted to hear, and that's not what I'm saying. And so you want to listen to God. You want to make sure that you have that time to say, hey, God, I'm here for you. My ears are open. Whatever signs you want to give me, whether it's through scripture, wise counsel, or whatever else, your will be done in my life. And so, like I said, we have to unlearn a lot of the things. Hey, Tracy. A lot of the things that we have learned in our upbringing, because our parents done the best I done the best that I could do with my kids. And my kids teach me a lot as they become young adults and they get out in the world and they learn things and they have their own relationships with God. Sometimes they put me back in my place. And so a lot of times, we go through not because we really have to, because we are just doing what we want to do. So you always want to search out the will of God and make sure you pray, God, your will be done in my life. The Bible says in Proverbs 16, commit your works to the Lord and your plans will be established. And so, hey, Tawana, good evening. And so if you commit your works to the Lord, your plans will be established. You don't have to worry about going through all these roadblocks and, like I said, turning down cul-de-sacs where you can't get through. You want to keep it straight. You want to keep it moving. And so with that, it's a daily walk and it's a daily question, asking yourself, why am I doing the things that I am doing? And if you make a vow to yourself, or make it like daily affirmations, and you ask yourself every day, why am I doing what I'm doing? Even if you get off on the wrong track, you can't stay there long, because you're daily asking yourself, what is my why for what we're doing? Working in ministry is sometimes can be very difficult, but it can be very, very fulfilling. And the good thing about it is God works through people, and people will let you know when you're on the wrong track, when you're not going the right direction. And so I thank God for that. Sometimes you want to quit, but at the same time, when you know that it is your assignment and you remember to your why, meaning the end goal for what this is, because when God gives you an assignment, it's for the kingdom. So if the assignment is for the kingdom, you can't quit on the kingdom. You can't do that. And you always have to know what your why is, what that end goal is. And so get up every day, set yourself up, set you a goal to get up and say, hey, I'm going to talk to God and I'm going to make all my requests to him. God, remind me of what the why is. Has the why changed? Have I fulfilled the assignment that you have called me to do, so that you're not there too long? Because sometimes you can be there too long, because we haven't consulted God on what it is that we're supposed to do. We've gotten used to being in the job that we're in. We've gotten used to being in the circles that we are in. We've gotten used to living on the east side of town, and we're supposed to be on the west side. So we have to get up and consult God about our why daily. The next area I want to talk about when it comes to your why, your end goal. And this is what we're talking about. You should have an end goal for everything that you are doing in your life. Let's talk about the why in our circles. Why do we connect with certain people? Why are you best friends with her? Or why are you best friends with him? We get too comfortable. Correct, Mom. We do. We get too comfortable, and it's easy for us to just stay. Hey, Lana. It's easy for us to just stay in the place that we are. But can I tell you that a lot of times when you get too comfortable being where you are, most of the time that means that you're supposed to be moving, upgrading, or adding something. Hey, Michelle. Upgrading or adding something. God always has an assignment for us. He always has somebody in our path that we can reach out to, that we can tell about Christ. period. And so if you're sitting down being comfortable saying, hey, well, today, yep, you got one day to not feel like doing it, but you got to continue to press. And that's where your why comes in at. If you're asking yourself, why am I doing all this daily? You don't have time to say, I really don't feel like doing it. I really don't feel like being that. We ought to be uncomfortable in circles that don't serve us, that doesn't edify the kingdom. And so, yeah, we have girlfriends that we bounce stuff off, or we don't like something, or did you see that? Did you understand that? I really didn't understand. Well, we do have those days. But if we have girlfriends that say, well, look at it from this point of view. Maybe that person felt like blah, 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 blah. And that's the reason. Or maybe that person was having a bad day. If you've got a girlfriend that always says to you, if somebody pops off at you, girl, I would have gave her a piece of my mind. I would have told her this and I would have told her that. Number one, if you are a good and grown woman, if you are 40 anything plus and you still popping off, it's a problem. You need to unlearn some things that you've learned. Queens don't pop off. We don't clap back. We get an understanding. Wisdom is referred to in the Bible as her, as she. And so if you are striving to be that Proverbs 31 woman, or that Esther, or that Deborah, or that Ruth, or that whoever it is, it's not coming from popping off. I ain't heard none of them pop off. Not none of them. I'll wait. The Bible is the best example. It's the best blueprint. Silence is golden. It is, especially when you're feeling some kind of way. Get a clear understanding. That's right, Tawana. Queens don't pop off. That's not queen status to pop off. That's not me. That's not my essence. I don't pop off. Now, do we have bad days? Can we emotionally be triggered by something? We can. But when it happens, that's when we need to go back and we need to do some self-evaluation, and we need to ask ourselves, why did I pop off? Why did that make me feel a certain kind of way? If I know who I am, even if a person is saying something to me, even if a person is trying to be disrespectful where I'm concerned, instead of allowing it to trigger something in here, and if it triggers something in here, there's some heart inspections that we need to do. But if a person is popping off, we need to be discerning what's going on over there so that we can pray. The Bible says to restore. And so, if somebody's popping off, if somebody's feeling a certain kind of way, if somebody's coming at you sideways, we need to pray about it. We need to figure it out. God, show it to me and give me an opportunity to have a conversation, a grown-up, Christ-like conversation with that person, so we can come to a mutual understanding in love, and so we can't teach our kids that. We can't teach our kids conflict resolution if we don't have it. I know a lot of people that still tell their kids, hey, if they say this or they do that, you do this. Well, no, how about not? Especially if we're Christ-like, if that's what we're talking about. We're talking about being Christ-like, right? So, with that being said, do a self-evaluation of your heart, but back to your circle. When you put people in your circle, and I, as a good and grown woman, I have just learned to protect my circle. My brother used to always say to me, people are guilty until proven innocent in my book. Well, for me, people were innocent, like the law. People are innocent until proven guilty. And he said, I don't care what you say. They're guilty until they prove me innocent. I still don't necessarily believe that. And I'm okay to agree to disagree with him. But at the same time, you still want to discern who and what it is that you're dealing with. I did a video, I think it was today. I did it yesterday and I posted it today, talking about guarding your heart. It is your responsibility to guard your heart. So the circles that you run in, it is your responsibility to understand and know who you are to be vulnerable with. It is your responsibility to do your homework on the people that you associate your good name with. Because I don't care who you are. If somebody in your circle goes out here and robs a bank, I can guarantee you people are going to hook you to how that person act. And and when they hook you to it, if the only thing they can hook you to is, well, I thought Nikki was a Christian. How come she wasn't ministering to her friend who robbed the bank? So I ain't got time. I've spent a lot of time with God and trying to clean this thing up that I got going on, because it's been plenty of times that I've been a mess. And I don't have time to allow something or someone to kill my witness, to mess up my reputation in the kingdom. That is priceless to me, and I'm not going to let somebody do it. And so you go into friendships, you go into partnerships, you go into business ventures with the end goal in mind. Why am I doing this? Am I just doing it just to make money? Some people do. I know for me, all money ain't good money. And so there have been plenty of times that I could have done some real estate ventures or done whatever versus working in the church. But I know the church is my assignment and it's my passion. And so, yeah, I passed up a lot of money selling real estate to stick and stay in my assignment, because that's what God has told me to do. Because I get up on a regular basis and I ask God, what is my why? I haven't done so good where relationships are concerned, how long I should stay or whatever, but I'm working on it. And I'm learning that everything in my life has to have a why attached to it. And so when we're talking about circles or whatever, I hear a lot of women say, I don't mess with women because they're catty and they're this and they're that. Well, anybody who knows me know that makes me cringe, because I love the success of women. I love to see everybody do well. But my ministry is to women. I want to see women boss up and win. And when I say boss up, I don't mean that we man bashing. I don't mean that we run around talking about, I don't need a man because I don't know about you. I don't need one, but I would like to have one. Thank you very much. And so with that being said, hey, Jane, it is good to see you. Thank you so much for jumping on. But with that being said, that has a lot to do with your circle, the circle of people that you run into. If we're going to stay all the way biblical, if we're going to stay all the way Christ-like, God said it's not good for man to be alone. So while you might have some single seasons, and then there are some people who maybe are meant, like Peter said, I vow that you would be like me, but, there are some of us, that ain't my ministry. My second ministry is marriage. My first name is Mrs. And so, Tawana, what are you saying? We are to uplift, strengthen, and encourage each other. Yes, that part. We can talk a whole lot. I can grab a whole lot of subjects out of that. But at the same time, our circles mean everything. I don't necessarily believe in putting people down. A lot of people say, oh, I'm done. I'm not. I can put people on pause until we can get the thing figured out. But I don't necessarily, you really have to do something really, really bad for me to say, I'm out. I'm not dealing with it at all. And some of my circle begs to differ where that is concerned. But that's just who I am right now. But I am working on making sure my why am I in that circle? Why am I allowing these people to be in this circle with me? If there's always some chaos going on, then maybe we might need to reevaluate. We need to sit down and have a conversation, and we might need to reevaluate. But when we're talking about a why in our circles, since we're talking about that, and a lot of times we as females need this. I don't know how guys do it. But when we're talking about a why in a circle, for me, my why in a circle is always to add value. Like I said at the beginning of this, I pride myself with knowing a little bit about everything. I will research Google in a heartbeat, chat GPT or whatever I need to do if I don't know something about something. Now, like I said, it doesn't mean I know everything, but I like to know a little bit about everything. And so with that being said, I want to add value to my circle. And at the same time, I expect the same thing where my circle is concerned. I was to the point where I was afraid to meet new people because of the betrayal with some people who I thought, let me see if I can do this, who I thought were my friends. And that is right. But you know, the good thing, I can flip that and say, if you hadn't gone through the betrayal, it's not always easy to discern things. So I thank God for the Judases, you know, and look how Jesus handled it. He let Judas sit right there. He let Judas kiss him on the face and everything. And he knew exactly what Judas was going to do. Jesus didn't pop off. Jesus didn't have to get nobody told, because it is what it is. Vengeance belongs to the Lord, you know, and we see what happened with Judas at the end. Jesus didn't have to do nothing. Not saying that I want nobody to kill themselves, but at the same time, it's a good example. I mean, things take care of themselves, and people can play behind God all they want, but they know their hearts and God knows their hearts. And so don't be afraid to meet people. That's how you grow. That is how you grow. Hey, Sam, long time no hear from. But that's how we grow. God works through people, and wisdom is knowing the difference in people and in things. And so it's our responsibility, like I said in the beginning, to guard our hearts. It's our responsibility to do our due diligence and discern people, because sometimes people come in our lives because we have to impart something to them. So you might have some people come in your lives that don't necessarily act the way you act, or think the way you act, or think the way that you think. But it's because God entrusted you to be that friend to say, hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about why you feel the way you feel, or why you act the way you act. And if it's a child of God or somebody who's just coming into the kingdom, then that's your opportunity to minister. That's your opportunity to be a mentor, you know, an opportunity to help someone be better in the kingdom. Now, Jesus said, tell them about Christ and shake the dust from your feet. If they not listen, you can't make them listen. But at the same time, you've done your due diligence because you understand what your why is. And so when it comes to circles, it's almost like a marriage. You have to cultivate friendships. None of us are alike. All of us have been catechized and grown up different. And so because of that, when we go into close friendships, we have to know and understand that there's always going to be a possibility that that person does something you don't like, says something you don't like. But I tell people all the time, hey, I might not like what you say today, but I promise I'll go home and go to bed and get up and talk to Jesus, and I'll be better in the morning. I promise. Now, we might have another problem on Tuesday, tomorrow. Hopefully we won't, but I'm not saying that we won't. But it's just knowing your why, so that it's not throwing the towel about everything. There are some things worth fighting for. Anything worth having and of value is worth fighting and working for. And that's just, I believe it until God shows me something else. And I've been believing that all my life. As far as a life plan, having a life plan is definitely how you can determine your circle. Determine who comes into your circle and who does not. Define your vision. Whether you're married or not. Hey, young lady, Dominique Michon, my niece. Calling on Jesus is the best thing that I can do. You got that right. You're a very wise young woman. But in determining our circles, you have to have a life plan. You have to know where your life is going. If you're just getting up, just going day by day, and you don't have goals and plans or anything, you just standing for nothing. So you can fall for anything. We're just going day by day, you know, however. God don't even, he don't work like that. You know, so you got to get up and seek him. So define your vision, envision your idea of life in various areas, careers, relationship, health, personal growth. Set goals, break down your vision into achievable goals and time goals. My break is over. I got to come back and watch the replay. All right. Love you. Thanks for tuning in. Create action steps. Develop a step-by-step plan to achieve your goals. I mean, don't just keep your goals up here. I used to think I got them up here, so I know, but it's something about writing them down that makes them real, that you can look at and see. And when you see them and you're doing them, you can cross them off and say, hey, I did this. Review your goals regularly. I remember it was probably about 7 or 8 years ago now. I was having an issue with a car, and anybody who knows me knows I love cars. And so I wrote down in my prayer journal that I needed a car, and I had my scripture down for my car and everything. And I wrote down 3 different cars that I liked. And so everybody knows I love Cadillacs. I just love cars, period. We could talk about that all day long. And so I left out of the house probably a week later to go take care of some things. I was selling real estate on a regular basis then. Drove past a car lot and I saw this beautiful black shiny Chrysler not a Chrysler, Charger, sitting on the car lot. And I went in and I inquired about the Charger. Long story short, one of the exact cars that I wanted, I drove off the lot with it. Such satisfaction actually crossing off the list. Yes, you can see your accomplishments. And so with that, I mean, you also can see the works of the Lord. You know, he said, write the vision and make it plain so the men can run with it. Well, I mean, your tongue, the power of your tongue, you speak a thing into existence. We see what we say. And I saw what I say. And to this day, I don't have that car anymore, but I loved that car. My family is on here. They would tell you I went to the car wash every day and sometimes twice a day to keep that car clean because I just absolutely loved it. And so have goals set for your life so that you can cross them off and you can share with your friends. And then you guys can, you know, kind of beam off of each other. You know, it's something about seeing my friends doing things that make me say, yes, you know, I'm on the winning team. And anybody who knows me knows I don't like to lose. I don't like it at all. And sometimes God will allow us to lose to learn a lesson, but I don't like it real bad. I don't like it real bad. And so, you know, I can say another thing. I had a couple surgeries last year. And before my surgery, I was just thinking, I hadn't even written it down. And I was thinking to myself, I had some student loans. I was like, man, I'm too old to still have these student loans on my credit report. I don't like how they look. And I need to, after I have this surgery, I need to figure out how to get these student loans off of my credit. I was watching Pastor Keon Henderson on TV. He was speaking blessings about student loan debt cancellation and sowing a seed and blah, 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 blah. I didn't even give it a thought. I shot him $100 as a seed. Didn't think about it anymore. Went and had my surgery. My downtime was probably about 4 weeks to recover. Best recovery in the world because I could get some rest. As I started getting better, went to the mailbox. Hadn't been to the mailbox in over a month. Got a letter out of the mail that said, hey, $53,000 of your student loan debt has been canceled. Thank you very much. And I looked at the date on it, and the date on that letter was the exact date that I thought about doing something to cancel my student loans. And so I say that to say, hey, this thing with God is amazing. God will do exceedingly abundantly above all that you ask or think. I thought it. I didn't say it. I didn't write it down. I was thinking about it in my head. Hey, auntie. So, you know, get you a plan together. Get you a plan together and get you a circle. That doesn't mean that you don't deal with people outside of your circle. Not at all. But your circle is your wise counsel, your level-headed, Christ-like, iron sharpened iron people. Hey, Janice, long time no hear from. And so you want to keep that life plan goal going. You want to have a tight circle that you've discerned, that you've prayed about, that God has shown you. You want to have a circle that is with you in the background, cheering you on for your assignments when you make slam dunks on things. And then when things don't go so well, we need people to help encourage us. Yes, we're to encourage ourselves, but it's always going to be better to have somebody to encourage you as you go along in your walk and determining what your whys are. You know, you need to have a why in every area of your life, whether it be business, whether it be your spiritual assignment, whether it be your relationship with your kids. There's an end goal to everything. What is your end goal for what you have going on? See you later, love. Love you, Denitra. Thanks for joining us. You're in your essence. Thank you. Okay, so the next area we're going to talk about real quick is relationships, whether it be a marriage relationship or just a romantic relationship. I hear a lot of people, I just think it's so funny. I say it every week that people say it's pee in the dating pool. And okay, let's figure out why it's pee in the dating pool. I don't know, but I would have to say, if I had to give an answer, it's pee in the dating pool because we don't determine what our why is. When you set out and say, hey, I want to date, why? What reason do you want to date? Do you want to date just to meet new friends? Do you want to date to eventually let God continue to use you? Thank you, Janice. Do you want to date in order to marry? What is your end goal? What is your why? Why are you doing it? And so if you're dating to find your purpose partner, I call it, because to just date because he was handsome, baby, that's not going to get it. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. So don't be talking about next year this time. You don't understand why, because you was in bubblegum land, because he was so fine. And I probably will agree with you that he's fine, but fine just don't get it. It just won't, it won't cut it. And so before you go into that dating pool, before you do that, you need to understand, what is my why? What is my reason? Why am I going? And so a lot of times you want to date for connection. We as humans need social connection. The average person needs social connection. A lot of people will say, hey, I'm an introvert. They still need social connection in some kind of way. Relationships can provide opportunities for personal growth and learning. God works through people. And so you have certain relationships sometimes to help you get over the hump or get past certain things that you have going on in your life. I'm not saying that has to be a sexual relationship. That's a conversation for another show. But sometimes God will use people. God said it's not good for people to be alone. Exactly. Support. A relationship offers emotional and practical support. The person that you choose should be a person who can encourage you. You know, if you are dating someone who takes all the time and never has the time to encourage you and be a part of what it is that you have going on, well, that tells you right there, they're not a purpose partner. And I'm not saying that people have to stop what they're doing to do what it is that you're doing. But when you are meant to be together and you determine your why before you start to date, that person that's coming into your life, they are assigned to you. So they automatically can multitask. They can take care of what their assignment is, and they can help you with your assignment, and they don't mind doing it. So I think that's a lot of the reason why that there's pee in the pool, because there are a lot of people who are not honest up front as to what their why is. Because there are some people that just date just because they want to have friends, and nothing's wrong with that if you're sharing that with the other person. But can I also tell you that being two people in a relationship, it is your responsibility to question and collect data. The word date is derived from the word data. So your responsibility is to be finding out data about the person that you're dating. And if you're a person that has a relationship with God and you always go to him with your why, God will he will show you the red flags. He'll show you up front. Us as women, we choose to ignore the red flags. I'm writing a book that says fall in love with purpose rather than potential. And I know for me, I am so guilty of saying, oh, he's got potential. He really could. Well, it's not my responsibility for his potential. He's got to be responsible. And he might decide he doesn't want to work in potential for 40 years. So then I'm running around like Moses and them, trying to figure it out for him. And that's not cool. And then you wonder why there's pee in the pool. You wonder why that you have so many problems. Well, it's because you ignored the things. We cannot fix people. People will change when they want to change. And so we have to understand what our why is so that we know when to walk away, so that we're not wasting time and years on things that we're not necessarily supposed to be doing. It's nothing wrong with coming in contact with a person and you know beyond a shadow of a doubt what your why is. And that person doesn't really fit anywhere in your why, nor are they trying to fit in your why. You're trying to fit in theirs, but they're not trying to fit in yours. Hey, it's time to let it go. God has something better. And the thing about it is, God's will be done. You have to trust God enough to know he knows you enough to know, hey, this ain't it. So love yourself. Understand your why. Why do I do the things that I do? Why the good evening? Why do I act the way that I act? And so when you know that, you know what your triggers are. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Here I go. Why am I doing that? Why am I going back to dumbing myself down so that I can, do this or be over there? No, let's not get sidetracked. We doing good. Let's stay on the straight road. And so there are questions that you ask yourself where your relationships have been concerned. Reflect on your past relationships. Consider what worked and what didn't, and what you truly want from a partner. I know for me going forward, it's got to be purpose. It's got to be a purpose partner, because I'm passionate about my purpose and my assignments, and so if I have a person that's not passionate about what I have going on, that's a problem. But I also have to understand and cultivate that purpose partner's purpose as well. As women, if you're dating to marry, you have to understand submission. And I don't think and that's a whole nother show, but I don't think a lot of us women understand that submission only means to come under the mission. And so we're going back to our why. Why are you dating? You should be dating someone who understands their why. And they're at least teachable, that you can minister and speak into their life and say, hey, there should be a why, a reason why that you do the things that you do. Because if he doesn't have a mission, you don't have anything to submit to. And that's why a lot of relationships fail. Because if you stand for nothing, you will fall for everything. And so relationships are all over the place because there's nothing for us women to submit to. So we get our own missions, and then it becomes a competition between man and woman. And so you have to understand, all of us have a different level of capacity. Thank you, Auntie. Yep, Mama, who can lead? All of us have a different level of capacity. And so if you don't know what your why is, and all of a sudden you figure out that your why is like this big, and the person that you're dating, their capacity is only this big, you can't expect them to you can't even fit down into what their capacity is. So you can't be mad at them because they don't have the capacity to feel what it is that you need. I need a purpose trusting partner. That is it. That is it right there. And if you're not seeking that purpose partner, the end goal is on you. It is on you, because that is what we should be thinking about first. It says to seek the kingdom first. And so before I seek my Boaz or whoever you want to call him, I need to seek the kingdom first. What is it that God has called me to do? God, your will be done. Help me to understand my why so that I can see clearly who my Boaz or my husband or my purpose partner is. There are just some people that come into your life to help you get to where you need to be. And they're not even meant to be our spouse. Just because he looks good and he smells good, that don't mean he's yours. That doesn't mean that there's a covenant that needs to be made between you guys. But a lot of us, we fall short. We get sidetracked. We go to bubblegum land. And I'm telling you that cologne will do it every time. It'll get you all miscombobulated. You ain't thinking about purpose, your why factor, none of that. We trying to fit a circle in a square, and that ain't God. Destiny helpers, that's it right there. And so I don't care how good somebody looks, how good they smell. If they're not your purpose partner, that's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a tug of war. And so you have to understand what your why is. What is your end goal for dating? Identify core values. Understand what values are non-negotiable for you in a relationship. Because just because both of you believe in God doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the same page. Can two walk together unless they agree? I ain't seen it happen yet. So there needs to be a conversation up front about what you believe in Christ and all that different stuff. It's a shame that we have to go there, but those are things that are deal breakers. After we get into it, you can be into it for years. And just because I believe in God and he believes in God, if we're not growing together, if we're not connecting, if we don't believe the same thing about marriage and how this thing should go, it's going to be a struggle. And I'm not saying the struggle is not worth it, but sometimes we make our journey harder. Are we equally yoked? That part, we make the journey a lot harder than it needs to be. And we stay in the wilderness way longer than we need to. Visualize your ideal partner. Think about the qualities and traits you desire in a partner. Hey, I tell people, I coach women all the time. Keep your list in your phone, because you can meet somebody at White Castle in the drive-thru, and is he, you ain't just giving your phone number out to any and everybody, right? Some people are just meant to have a conversation with, speak into their life and keep it moving. How about that? So know the difference. And let's see, we're almost at 8 o'clock. We got about 10 minutes. Where your business is concerned, determine your why. What are you passionate about? What have you gone through? God has taken us all through some things that we're passionate about. And all of us have a purpose to the kingdom, to make the kingdom better and to make the next person, to help the next person be great. And so think about your business. What problem can you solve? And why would you want to solve the problem? I always say, I want to be the person who I needed back there. All of us have gone through a wilderness time that we can say, I needed somebody just to listen. I needed somebody just to call me and say, hey, are you good? Or I needed somebody to loan me some money or give me a ride or whatever that is. Be the person that you needed. So when you're thinking about, I know I should be starting a business. I know God is telling me to go this way, but I can't really hear what it is that he's calling me to do. Well, what problem do you want to solve? What knowledge and what understanding do you have that will solve a problem that will add value to the next person's life? So sit back and look at that. Identify your passion. What are you passionate about that you can meet a need in the marketplace? Assess your strengths. What skills and strengths do you possess that you can leverage in your business? Do your market research. Understand the needs and desires of your target market. Envision your future. Visualize the long-term impact you want your business to have on people. So most of the time it's not about money. The money will definitely come. If you are doing what God has called you to do, the money will definitely come. I will say in the assignment that I'm in right now, it's not like it's super lucrative. But at the same time, it's fulfilling. My life is fulfilled because I know that I'm moving and working in my assignment. Now, am I a Renaissance woman? Am I a jack of all trades? Yeah, I got a lot of things under my belt. I was a licensed hairstylist, a real estate broker. I went to school to be a coach. A lot of different things that I can pull out of my hat when the funds get low. And the good thing about it, all of those things I'm passionate about. So isn't God amazing that he will allow us to turn the things that we love, the things that we're passionate about, into a stream of income? But you got to understand what your why is. And can I tell you, if your why is strictly to make money, you probably will not do it. It probably won't last. But when your why is something that edifies the kingdom, that solves a problem, that ministers to the people, I guarantee you, you will never lack anything as long as you're seeking God for what it is that you're trying to do. You're seeking his counsel and you're committing your works to God. They can do nothing but succeed. And that's not just monetarily, it's in every area. So I encourage you guys tonight to seek your why in every area of your life. Why do I have the circle that I have? Why do I have the spouse that I have? Why do I have the boyfriend that I have? Why do I have the job that I have? Why do I have the business that I have? And I challenge you to talk to God about it on a daily basis. I'm telling you, it will change your life. It keeps you out of the wilderness longer than you really need to be. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this hour of Queen Status Podcast. Thank you to everybody who shared. If you know somebody who you think will benefit from these conversations, please share. Go to my YouTube page, Nichelle the Boss, and subscribe. We need to get to a certain amount of people so that we can go live on there. Don't forget, July 1st, the website will be complete and we will have our own community that we can go in there and talk about things. There'll be blogs, there's beauty tips, there's going to be life tips. You'll be able to share your life experiences and your testimonies there as well. I look forward to this group growing. It is my heart's desire to do this and to help other women win. My YouTube page is Nichelle the Boss, at Nichelle the Boss on YouTube. So go to my YouTube page, subscribe. I know most of you know about all the different groups that I have. Sister, I get in there and I pray. There's a prayer in there for us every morning. Girls with Goals, I promise I'm going to do better. But Girls with Goals is also going to be in NichelleSmith.com. We're going to do some things. We're going to take our businesses to the next level. We're going to talk about a lot of different business tips. Thank you so much for sending me stars. I love that. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. So, I mean, we're really going to turn it up. I'm really going to do what God has called me to do, no matter how hard it is. This is really hard for me to do this because I really don't like the camera and talking on camera. So every Monday when I do this, I have to talk myself into going live. So this is my first Monday without my daughter, who helps me so much. I love you so much. But this is going to get better and better on a regular basis. Send me an inbox if there are certain subjects that you think that would be good for us to talk about. Let me know what you think about the podcast. Again, thank you guys so much. I'll be here every Monday at 7 p.m. As soon as we get enough subscribers, I'll be on YouTube and TikTok. So have a good evening, everybody.